Salutations from Wizard Studios. I am the Wizard. We have another episode coming to you today. It is Monday, June 8th. So we just had some fights over the weekend. Felicia Spencer versus Amanda Nunez. Amanda Nunez gets it done again. I think many of us thought that would happen, and it did. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, first up, Amanda Nunez versus Felicia Spencer. Like I said, Amanda Nunez gets it done again. We all thought she would, and she did. I'm not being mean here, guys, but it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. She outstruck her on the feet. She took her down at will, ground and pounded her. Felicia Spencer, she just needs more practice. She just needs more practice. I think she needs to move to a different camp. Maybe go to American Top Team, train with Amanda Nunez. Maybe go to AKA. Maybe go to Greg Jackson's. Trevor Whitman would be excellent. Her striking is nowhere near the level it needs to be. I mean, it's just nowhere near the level it needs to be. And she was nowhere even near close to getting a takedown. Whenever she did get inside on Amanda Nunez, she didn't even have the strength to finish the takedown. So we always talk about Felicia Spencer being a true featherweight. Well, she might be a true featherweight, but she doesn't have the strength and the conditioning to have the power to be a real contender at featherweight. A true contender at featherweight. So she may have been the number one contender, but was she a true number one contender? No. She could not compete with the best. And that's just the facts. That's just the facts. I'm not crapping on Felicia Spencer. I think she has all the potential in the world. But she just doesn't have the tools right now to compete with the best. And that's what we saw. That's what we saw. When she landed on Amanda, the few times that she did, there was no power there. When she got inside, like I was saying, the strength was not there to complete it. So I think she needs to get to a new camp. That is what I took away from that outing. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, a great performance from Amanda Nunez. And when you see this, when you see Amanda Nunez compete against all of these contenders, it makes you think, how good is Valentina Shevchenko? Next up, we have Rafael Assunção versus Cody Garbrandt, and man, this was great. This was great. I was so happy to see Cody Garbrandt get back to the way he was in the Dominic Cruz performance, in the Thomas Almeida performance. How I knew he could actually perform. And he was all about it, man. Defensively, perfect. I mean, as perfect as you could be in a fight. I mean, the dude was as defensively sound as you could have been. Offensively, I think he didn't pull the trigger as much as he could have. And I think that was because he wanted to be more cautious. Yeah, I just think he wanted to have a more cautious approach. I think he wanted to have a more measured approach. That's the better word for it. And, you know, Rafael Assunção is a tough out. The dude is been in the top 5, the top 10 for, you know, a very long time, since the WEC days. And I believe that Cody Garbrandt had the best performance against Rafael Assunção that you could ever have. I mean, he knocked him out. And I don't think somebody's done that. I believe the guy was like Eric Koch, if I'm not mistaken, and that was like a lightweight or featherweight maybe back in the day. So I could be wrong there. I'm just going off the top of my head. So, you know, Cody Garbrandt, defensively perfect, using the low calf kick as a jab, setting up his power shots. The dude was as brilliant defensive a performance as you can have. And people were like, he's not pulling the trigger, and that is because he was setting up his power shots. You heard him say in the post-fight interview that his coaches were saying that his inside shots were his money makers. You know, that's where he gets his knockouts. And so that's what he was trying to do. And at the end of round 1, when he was up against the fence and he didn't throw any punches, he was just, you know, bobbing and weaving. And then it got at the end of round 2 and he was in that same position. Rafael took that for granted and Cody made him pay for that. And that's what it was. It was a brilliant performance by Cody Garbrandt. I was happy to see him get back to his winning ways, because we all know how good Cody Garbrandt can be. We all know how good Cody Garbrandt's technique, speed, and power are. And we all know that the dude should be at the top of the division when he is on. And he was on tonight. Aljamain Sterling versus Cory Sandhagen. Aljamain Sterling came out like he had something to prove. And he did. He had something to prove. He had a point to prove that he was the best bantamweight in the world. He felt like he was not getting talked about enough. He felt like he should be fighting Peter Yan for the bantamweight strap. And you know what? He went in there and he strangled Cory Sandhagen. I thought Cory Sandhagen might have good enough jiu-jitsu to compete with Aljamain Sterling. And you know what? I was wrong. I was so wrong. He does not have good enough jiu-jitsu to compete with Aljamain Sterling. And I will bite that bullet, because you know what? He got choked out. He got choked out. And you know what? I cannot always pick them right. This is the hardest sport to pick them in. And you know what? I am sorry, Aljamain, for doubting you. I am a fan. I am a believer. I will never doubt you again, because, dude, you went in there and you proved that you are among the best, if not the best, bantamweights in the world. You know what? I want to see the Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling fight. I want to see Aljamain Sterling get his due. Dude, he went in there and just absolutely ran through who I thought was the best bantamweight in the world right now. I thought Cory Sandhagen was going to surprise everybody. I thought this dude was the dark horse. I thought this dude was going to come in here and just show everyone that, hey, I'm the guy. And you know what? Aljamain said, hold my beer. I am that guy. I am the dark horse. I am the dude that's going to come in here and say Sarah BJJ is the best BJJ in the land. And you know what? He did it. He did it. Strangled him. Absolutely strangled him. It was brilliant, man. So happy for Aljamain. The dude's a stud. Next up, we have Neil Magny versus Anthony Rocco Martin. And people are kind of crapping on this fight. I didn't think it was a bad fight. I thought this was a good fight. Anthony Rocco Martin was throwing combinations to get into the grappling situations to try to take Neil Magny down. I think he ended up getting like one takedown. Neil Magny, of course, was, you know, doing the Neil Magny thing. Volume strikes and trying to wear on Anthony Rocco Martin. And it was going over the whole fight. Anthony Rocco Martin landed some big shots on Neil Magny. And people were wondering, was Neil Magny's chin going to hold up? You know, we've seen him take huge shots. And you know, he has been put away. And so when Anthony landed those big shots, I was like, man, Neil Magny's chin is still there. So this fight really could have gone either way. It was a close fight. I thought the first round went to Rocco. I thought the second round could have gone either way. The third round was definitely Magny's. He won that round big. The second round was the key round. Who won the second round? Nobody really knows who won the second round. And so Neil Magny gets the nod. I did not have a problem with it. And, good win for Neil Magny. Anthony Rocco Martin is no slouch. And for Neil Magny to get that win, I was happy for him. I think Neil Magny, is a top 10 welterweight. And for him to not be ranked right now, it's kind of surprising to me. Because Neil Magny's a stud, and he deserves to have a number by his name. I would like to see him get a ranked opponent next and start to make that climb again. We'll see what happens. So Sean O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland, and this fight was really the coming out party for Sean O'Malley. We all knew who he was, the hardcores did, and the casuals know who he is now if they didn't know already. So Eddie Wineland, a vet, WEC champ, and the guy has power in his hands, a very good counter striker. Just an all-around great fighter, but, is falling on hard times. I mean, he's getting older, and he's just not what he once was. So, coming into this fight, you were wondering if the old guy still had one last hoorah left in him. And if Sean O'Malley could make a statement, to leap into the top 15. Now, Sean O'Malley made that statement, okay? He gets the walk-off KO in spectacular fashion. And he does the fake uppercut, the feint uppercut, feint left hook, and then just drops him with the right hook. Now, and walks away. Joe Rogan, the commentary team go wild. I'm jumping up and down in my living room. It's a spectacular walk-off KO. But what people aren't noticing is he actually stunned him before he did that, before the feint, before the double feint, okay? He hit him with a hook, and then he goes for the wheel kick, misses the wheel kick because Eddie Wineland stunned a little bit. O'Malley is off balance because he misses the wheel kick, and he gets back up, then does the double feint, and then drops him with the hook and walks off. It's all over. Everybody's going wild. Sean O'Malley, people are like, how does he have this power? He's not, a big dude. He's, kind of scrawny, whatever. All right? Technique with speed equals power. All right? Technique with speed equals power. Sean O'Malley, and let me say this too, because Sean O'Malley has the technique. Sean O'Malley is lightning fast. And he's got perfect timing. So, that equals power. That right there equals power. There you go, folks. Sean O'Malley has power. You see it. He gets knockouts. How does he get the knockouts? Great timing, great technique, great speed. The dude's a stud. He can compete with the best of them. I would love to see what his ground game's like. You hear them talk about it all the time. But you know what? If nobody can even get him to the ground, what does it matter? What does it matter? If you can't even get him there, what does it matter? The dude knows how to win, and he does it in emphatic ways. All right, bonuses for the night go to Cody Garbrandt, Aljamain Sterling, and Sugar Sean O'Malley. They all got $50,000. They all deserve $50,000. Excellent performances. And we'll see what's next for all of them. I think Aljamain Sterling, Dana White did say that he was secured for the next title shot after Peter Yan and Jose Aldo fight. I'd like to see what Cody Garbrandt gets next. As far as Sean O'Malley goes, I believe that Cody Stamen would be a great performance for him because Cody Stamann got a huge win over Brian Kelleher. That was a great fight as well. Brian Kelleher performed well. You know, Cody Stamann, with the death of his brother, the dude just fought his butt off, and I thought that was amazing. I mean, the interview with Joe Rogan afterwards, I was tearing up. It was hard to watch, but great performance by Cody Stamann. I would like to see Sugar Sean and Cody Stamann go at it. That would be a fun fight to watch. So a lot is being made about John Jones, George Masvidal, Henry Cejudo, and these guys, you know, taking a stand against the UFC for, you know, not paying them what they believe they are deserved. And I have said in the past that the UFC fighters are not making enough. You know, 18% of the company's earnings or whatever. And I believe that I was a little bit wrong on that. And let me explain. I said 18%. George Masvidal said 18%. I believe that the number is closer to 12%, is what Big John McCarthy said. I heard him say in one of his podcasts that I was listening to while I was working out the other day. So I don't know if he knows that for sure or not. But you know, Big John McCarthy might know something more than I do. I was just going off of a report that I read where I saw 18%, but John McCarthy wrote the rules of MMA. So let's just think that it's somewhere between 12 and 18%. That is still way off, okay? Way off. If it's between 12 and 18% of what the company's making, that is not fair to the fighters. It should be around 30 to 40%, right? That seems about fair. 30 to 40% is where it should be. People are like half. We don't know, because they have to pay their employees. You know, they have to pay their executives, yada, yada, yada. So 30 to 40% is where it should be, I believe. Boxing gets like 60 to the fighters. But the boxing, they don't have, you know, the whole company and all the executives and all that like the UFC does. And they don't have, you know, performance institutes with employees in, you know, Vegas, Mexico, China, and building it in other countries as well. You got to think about that. The UFC has a lot of employees they got to pay. So we got to think about all of this. Now, we got to think also, we are in a pandemic. All of these fighters, they're picking a good time to do this while the UFC is weak. So everybody's like, they're asking at the wrong time. No! They're asking at the right time. While the UFC is weak, that's when you strike. That's when you go after them. Because they don't have the ammunition to fire back. They're having to pay for all of these tests. They're having to rent an island. They're having to do all these things. They're having to spend so much money to break even or to lose money. We don't know. We don't really know. Dana White's like, we're hemorrhaging money right now. We can't afford to pay more. We don't know if that's true. But we have to think they may be breaking even. They may be just making a little bit. We don't really know. But they're not doing as well as they should be. They're not getting the gates. They're not being able to sell merchandise at the fights. They're not being able to do a lot of things. So, with all of that going on, the fighters have to act now. But you have to think, all these fighters that are trying to do this, there's always more fighters that'll step up and take the fight for less. So as long as there's fighters that'll do that, nothing will ever get done. Nothing will ever get done. It's called prize fighting for a reason. It's a me sport. It's not a we sport. It's a me sport. As long as it stays a me sport, it's going to stay an independent contractor forever. And they're not independent contractors. They're not. We all know that. Look at the Reebok deal. Look at all this stuff. This is not what independent contractors do. Independent contractors don't have to abide by all these things. So, I feel for them. I understand. But as long as there's another guy willing to step up, nothing will be done. So right after UFC 250 was over and the guys get to the back to do the post-fight press conference, Conor McGregor lets out a tweet and lets the world know that he is done with the sport yet again. And I was just thinking, man, what terrible, terrible timing. Dude, like, can you not let Amanda Nunez get her moment in the sun? Like, this woman is a GOAT. Like, she has done so much for the sport. And you are just sitting here just taking a crap all over her. Because you know how big of a star you are. And you're stealing her spotlight. Like, could you not wait till the next day? Could you not wait till Monday? Could you just hold off a little bit? Like, I understand, dude. You're frustrated. You want to fight. You had this Conor McGregor season planned out. You wanted to do 3 fights this year. You wanted to do all this stuff. You had your everything ready to go. And then the pandemic happened. All this stuff. And it just took a giant crap on the Conor McGregor season. I'm a Conor McGregor fan. I love the Conor McGregor mania. I love it, man. I love watching him fight. He's a star. He's done so much for the sport. I mean, he's done more for the sport than anyone. But, dude, if you think that you're trying to force Dana White's hand, you're not. Nobody can force Dana White's hand. The dude's hand is unforceable. So, if he's telling you to wait for the after the fight with Tony and, Khabib and Gaethje, then you have to wait. You have to wait. Not even McGregor can force Dana White. Not even McGregor. And as crazy as that sounds, it's the truth. Because the sport will go on. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it in the past. So, I wish Conor all the best. I wish he would have waited a little while to allow Amanda Nunez to soak up the sun that she has most deserved. I mean, she has done so much. She hasn't lost since like 2015. And just a few, words from Conor on Twitter just blocks that sunlight from her. I feel bad for her, man. I mean, that was wrong by Conor. And he knew exactly what he was doing. But, whatever. Whatever. All right, let's take a quick look at UFC Fight Night I versus Calvillo. So, Cynthia Calvillo is coming up in weight to 125. Jessica I is, of course, been at 125. Fought Valentina Shevchenko for the title. She used to fight at bantamweight, though, so she is going to have what I believe, a significant size and a reach advantage over Jessica I. So we'll see how that plays out. Calvillo, is the better grappler and might be able to exploit that in this fight. That is where I believe that this, that might be able to negate the size advantage. If Calvillo can, wrestle and get her to the ground, tire her out, and, make this a grappling match, turn it into a dogfight, more or less. If she can do that, she can win. If not, I believe that I is a bigger and all around just a little bit better. I really do. I think I is just all around a little bit better and a little bit bigger. And that matters, especially when you're coming up in weight to a person that used to fight, pretty much 20 pounds. She got 20 pounds on Calvillo, pretty much, give or take. So that's huge. That is so big. Why? Calvillo coming up from flyweight, why couldn't she fight Roxanne Modafferi? That would have been a better, dipping your toe in, But no, they give her eye? I don't understand that. So when you think about it, I don't understand this matchmaking. I really don't. But we'll see what happens. I mean, that's why we have the fight. I think that if Calvillo, like I said, does good dirty boxing, gets it into the clinch game, turns it into a dogfight, grapples her, attacks that lead leg, that's what she's going to have to do to get this win. We'll see if she can do it. And if I, can keep her at distance and just beat her up, then that's how she'll win. Keep it standing. All right, next up we got Carl Robertson versus Marvin Vettori. Man, I'm glad we finally get to see this fight. Carl Robertson, excellent stand-up in my opinion. The guy's just he's just a dog, man. Marvin Vettori, I believe, is a little bit better everywhere. Okay, I could be wrong. That's why we have the fight. I believe that his ground game is just a little bit better than Carl Robertson's, and I believe that Marvin Vettori has good stand-up. I mean, we saw him striking with Israel Adesanya, and he was in that fight. He lost by split decision, okay? People don't agree with that, but that's what it was, okay? That's what it was. Now, Marvin Vettori, I'm picking him to win, by decision. He may be able to get the finish. If he does, I'd see it in the third round, TKO. But, yeah, I think Marvin Vettori is just a little bit better everywhere. Carl Robertson, he's a great fighter, man. These are two up-and-comers, and I think they're trying to see, which one is going to be the breakout, the next one. And I think it's going to be Marvin Vettori. Could be wrong. He's just got to remember not to get too emotional. We saw him fight. Or not fight, but get into that altercation or whatever in the elevator with Carl Robertson. He's had a lot of fights get canceled, man, so we got to remember that, and we got to think that he's frustrated. He's got to keep those emotions in check, and if he can, I think that he'll get the win. I think Marvin Vettori is very talented, and I think the guy is a good fighter. I think he's a great fighter, actually, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. We'll see what happens. See if he can get it done. Merabh versus Ray Borg. Man, dude, they are not doing Ray Borg any favors. So he had to fight Ricky Simon, and now he's fighting Merabh. Dude, this dude. All right, let's be honest. Ray Borg is not a bantamweight, okay? And, I mean, he is, but he's not yet. He's got to get that body frame ready to be a bantamweight. He was trying so hard to get down to flyweight. He thought he was a flyweight. In his head, he was a flyweight. He just knew he was a flyweight. But no, he's not a flyweight. He's like a 132-pounder or a 130-pounder. But now he has to fight at bantamweight because there's not a division for him. So his body has to get ready for bantamweight. But he can't get there because he's trying to fight too often. Dude, you gotta put on the size. You're not gonna be able to compete with Merabh because Merabh is gonna take this dude down at will. At will. What is Ray Borg's gonna do? I mean, dude's gonna have to go for a flying knee or something, or uppercut from Hades. I mean, something. something. I mean, I know people hate on Ray Borg. I don't understand it. You know, I know the dude had the trouble with his son and all that. I felt bad for the guy, man. Got the glass in his eye from the McGregor incident. And people want to hate on the guy. I don't understand it. I think he's a good dude. I think he's an excellent fighter. I think he's a great flyweight that is not really a flyweight. So when you have to think, what is going to happen in this fight? Merabh is going to ragdoll Ray Borg. That is what I think. And I'm not talking bad about Ray Borg because I like him. But Merab's a beast who should be ranked. But the bantamweight division is so freaking crazy. And he had that crazy fight with Ricky Simone, which he did not go out in. We all saw that. This is absolutely nuts, man. I feel bad for Ray Borg, and Merabh is going to win this fight. So I got Merabh by decision because Ray Borg's tough as nails. Andre Fili versus Charles Jourdain. This is a good fight right here. Charles Jourdain coming off the win versus Doo Ho Choi. Surprised a lot of people in that fight because Doo Ho Choi, man, is no joke. Say what you want to about, coming off of a couple losses, but Doo Ho Choi is awesome. I think he'll bounce back great. Andre Fili, we all know how good he is. I'm going to take Fili by decision, but it would not surprise me if he got a third round stoppage. Andre Fili is a dog. Man, he just got dogs in his hands, man. He's a great fighter. I think that, I think Andre Fili's one day going to be a champion. I really do. I think he's got all the skills to be a champion, and I think one day he's going to be a champion. That's just my gut feeling. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. But that's just what I think. Jordan Espinosa versus Mark De La Rosa. Both of these guys, Jordan Espinosa coming off of 2 losses, Mark De La Rosa coming off of 3. I thought Mark De La Rosa was going to get cut from the UFC. He got the call to fight, man. I guess because of these crazy times and everything, they needed fighters. They called Mark De La Rosa. I could be wrong. Maybe they like him and, he's sticking around because he's a good dude. I don't know. But usually when you get 3 consecutive losses in the UFC, you get your walking papers, right? We all know this. Well, Mark De La Rosa got 3 consecutive losses, and he's getting a call to fight. He's got to make the most out of this. Now, Jordan Espinosa has 2 consecutive losses. If he gets a third, he could get his walking papers. See ya. So this is a winner takes all fight right here. This is like, this is like a championship fight. Like high stakes. So who's going to win? Dude, Mark De La Rosa has not looked good, man. He just hasn't looked good to me. So I'm going with Jordan Espinosa. I mean, he got beat bad in his last fight, Mark De La Rosa, and just didn't look himself. He hasn't looked himself in a while to me. So I'm going with Jordan Espinosa in this one. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong because I like Mark De La Rosa. I like the De La Rosa family. I like all those people. I think they're good people. I think they're great. I think they're good for the sport. And so hopefully I'm wrong on this one, but I'm going with Jordan Espinosa. So Henry Cejudo said that he would like to fight Ryan Garcia in boxing, and the only fight that would make him come out of retirement in MMA would be Alexander Volkanovski. I really believe that Henry Cejudo is just talking to keep his name out there. I don't know if he's really retired. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. I think that, the guy really just likes to keep his name out there. And he likes He likes to talk, man. We all know Triple C. We all know Henry Cejudo. The guy likes to keep his name relevant. The guy likes to keep his name in the media. The guy likes to talk to the media. You know, he used to be a shy dude. He used to be the guy that just competed. But then he became Triple C. He became this guy that was not afraid of anything, that went out there and competed and talked to the media and became a personality. And that's what he is now. Even though he's retired, he's still a personality. And we have to accept that. I don't think he's really going to fight Ryan Garcia. He would get destroyed. I'm not going to doubt him in any MMA fight ever again. So if he was to fight Volkanovski, I would favor Volkanovski, but I would never doubt Triple C. Do I think he would make that fight Dana White? No. He doesn't do one-offs. He hates what happened in the GSP fight, you know, with the Michael Bisping thing. The BJP Penn thing back in the day. We have to remember all these things. So Henry Cejudo retiring effectively ended his career. That's what that was. You cannot challenge Dana White. It does not work out well for you, especially in public. Fighters, remember that. Please. Does not work out well. Alright guys, that's it. Remember to give this video the thumbs up if you liked it. Also, subscribe for more MMA content, and we will see you in the next video.